First things first, before we start cooking, we got to get our basic ingredients sorted out. Let's clear up some of the jargon and make sure we're all speaking the same language.
Okay, so what is AI really? At its heart, it's all about automating tasks that usually need a human brain. You know, things that involve thinking, reasoning, or even creating stuff. Forget the whole robot overlord sci-fi thing for a second. It's really just about using machines for those tricky jobs. That's the big picture.
And here's the crazy part. You're already using it, like all the time. Think about it. That spam filter in your email, that's AI. The show recommendations Netflix gives you, totally AI. And your GPS that cleverly reroutes you around a massive traffic jam, you guessed it, that's AI too.
So it turns out AI comes in a couple of different flavors. On one hand, you've got the old school, rule-based AI. Think of it like a super strict micromanager that follows an if this, then that flowchart. It's predictable, sure, but it's also incredibly rigid. But then you have machine learning. This is the game changer. Instead of giving it rules, you give it a mountain of data and it figures out the rules all by itself. This shift is massive. It's moving from programming with logic to programming with data.
Okay, so how does modern AI learn? Let's take a quick peek under the hood. I promise we're going to keep it simple. No crazy math involved.
So, this is the big question, right? How does a machine go from just seeing a bunch of data to actually learning the idea of something? Like, how does it see a million cat photos and then learn the very essence of catness so it can spot a cat it's never ever seen before? Well, the answer is actually inspired by the best learning machine we know of, the human brain.
And it does this with something called an artificial neural network. Think of it like an assembly line for understanding. At the start, you feed in the raw data, say all the pixels from a photo of a cat. The first layer in the network looks for super simple stuff, like basic edges and lines. The next layer takes those edges and starts putting them together into simple shapes. The layer after that combines those shapes into more complex features, like whiskers or a pointy ear. See how it works? Each layer builds on the last, getting more and more abstract until the final layer spits out a prediction. Yep, 98% chance that's a cat.
And that brings us to that buzzword you hear all the time, deep learning. What is it? Honestly, it's way simpler than it sounds. Deep learning is, well, it's just an artificial neural network with lots of those hidden layers. Like, not just a few, we're talking hundreds or even thousands. That depth is what gives modern AI its incredible power. It's what allows it to grasp really complex, abstract ideas, everything from grammar in a sentence to whether or not you're being sarcastic.
All right, so let's step into the kitchen. We've seen a bit of the mechanics, but now let's put it all together with our simple recipe analogy. This is where it's all going to click.
Think about it. Every great meal you've ever had has three core parts, right? You've got your ingredients, the recipe you follow, and the final dish you serve. Well, it turns out every single AI system is built on these exact same three pillars. The ingredients? That's your data. The recipe? Those are the algorithms. And the final dish? That's the application.
So let's start with pillar one, the ingredients. This is your data. It's all the raw stuff the AI has to work with. We're talking text from millions of books, pixels from countless images, numbers from a massive spreadsheet, you name it. And just like with real cooking, the quality of your ingredients is everything. It's the classic saying, garbage in, garbage out. You can't make a gourmet meal with spoiled food.
Okay, ingredients are prepped. Now for pillar two, the recipe. These are your algorithms. And don't let the word scare you. An algorithm is really just a fancy term for a set of step-by-step instructions. It's the recipe that tells our AI chef exactly what to do with the ingredients to get the result we want. And of course, you'd use a different recipe to bake a cake than you would to grill a steak, right? Same idea here. Different goals require different algorithms.
And finally, that brings us to pillar three, the final dish. This is the application. It's the whole point, right? The reason we're doing all this work in the first place. The application is the specific problem you're trying to solve. Are we making a personalized movie recommendation list? Or maybe we're creating a system that can detect diseases in medical scans. Whatever that end goal is, that's your application.
Okay, so ingredients, recipe, dish, data, algorithms, application. Got it. But this isn't just some theory. This AI chef is already serving up dishes in your life every single day. So let's take a look at what's on the menu right now.
Take your streaming service, for example. What are the ingredients? Simple. Your entire viewing history and all the ratings you've ever given. The recipe? A pretty sophisticated recommendation algorithm. And the final dish served up just for you? That personalized list of shows it thinks you'll love.
See? It's not magic. It's just our AI chef following the recipe perfectly.
How about your voice assistant? The ingredient is the actual sound waves of your voice. The recipe is a complex algorithm called natural language processing that deciphers what you're saying. And the final dish? Boom! Your timer is set or your morning playlist kicks in. Simple, right? All powered by those same 3 pillars.
But look, with a chef this powerful comes great responsibility. A great chef can't just make food that tastes good. They have to make sure it's safe and that you can trust what you're eating. The same goes for AI. We have to be able to trust the final dish, and that means being a responsible AI chef.
And this really gets to the core of the problem. AI is basically a mirror. It learns from the data we give it. So if that data, our ingredients, is filled with all of our own societal biases, what do you think happens? The AI learns and then amplifies those biases. It's not malicious. It's just reflecting the flawed world that was shown in the data.
Let me give you a real-world example of how this can go wrong. Say a company builds an AI to help screen resumes. They train it on their hiring data from the past 20 years. But what if, historically, most of their hires for tech roles were men? The AI might look at that data and mistakenly learn a terrible lesson, that being male is a key qualification for the job. It could then start filtering out perfectly qualified female candidates, not out of malice, but because it learned a biased pattern from skewed ingredients.
So, how do we stop that from happening? How do we check the chef's work? That's where something called explainable AI, or XAI, comes in. Think of it as the ability to look at the chef's recipe notes. It lets us see exactly why the AI made a particular decision. This kind of transparency is absolutely crucial for building trust, for catching these kinds of biases, and for making sure our AI is getting the right answer for the right reasons.
Okay, we've seen behind the curtain, we've learned the recipe, we've even talked about the responsibilities of a good chef. And this brings us to the most important part of all, what this means for you. Because now, you are the chef.
Look, if you take away just one single thing from our chat today, please let it be this. AI is not magic. It is a tool, a seriously powerful tool for sure. But it is a tool that is shaped, guided, and controlled by human choices, by our choices. And that's really the final thought I want to leave you with. Now that you understand the fundamentals, the ingredients, the recipe, the final dish, it's like you've been handed the keys to the most incredible kitchen imaginable. So the only question left is, now that you know the recipe, what amazing dish are you going to create?
Hey, thanks so much for sticking with me on this one. If you're feeling inspired and you're ready to really dig in and level up your own AI skills, be sure to check out the link in the description to learn more.